This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
Hello and welcome to News Extra here on Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos. Our conversation today focuses on Burkina Faso, where the military junta has, in its latest efforts, dissolved the country's electoral body, calling it a waste of money. This act is the latest in a series of changes enforced by the junta, which has now extended its rule at the helm of affairs until 2029. Joining the conversation on News Extra is Olumayowa Olani, who is a security expert at Clean Foundation. Mr. Olani, thank you for joining us on News Extra. I want to start by asking, from your observations of the occurrences in Burkina Faso, would you say that this action was expected?
Thank you for having me once again. I think it was expected. Some of us who have been following the story, we knew so well that the military junta would not keep to its promise. And I think one thing that we need to also recall is that this is not the first time that it's going to renege on its promise, especially in return to democracy. In 2022, the promise was to renege or to go back to democratic rule by 2024, just 2 years. That was what Captain Traore told the Burkina Faso. But unfortunately, he extended by 2 years. And as soon as some of us who were following closely what was going on there knew that he wouldn't keep his promise. But now we have seen what he has done by extending by another 5 years to 2029. And of course, the last that he did was the dissolution of the electoral commission in Burkina Faso. This means that there's no end in sight. And it's this greed that we all talk about when we talk about governance and the way people attribute or arrogate power to themselves. He is living in a bubble where nobody can question him. Civil society organizations are not working because he has proscribed them. And so there's nobody to actually call him to question or to raise issues or concerns about the way he rules. And again, this is what you get in any military junta, any military regime, anywhere in the world. Unfortunately, that's the point where Burkina Faso is right now.
So, Mr. Olani, now this junta has said that it is trying to limit foreign influence in Burkina Faso. When you consider the fact that the narrative around France and Russia has been, I guess, a bit interesting in recent times, would you say that there is any merit to their concern?
Well, it's going to be difficult to talk about that just in a few seconds. But again, I think the bigger picture that we need to look at here is on what ground was he rejecting the relationship with France. Of course, we know that neocolonialism is what the French government is also extending to some of their former colonies in Africa. But notwithstanding, you would have expected that with all of the objections or all of the issues that Captain Traore raised at first, that the government of Burkina Faso, let me put it that way, will be looking inward. But what we saw was that it was just another leaning towards another superpower in terms of Russia. And what was he looking for? He was looking for political and military support from Russia. That gave the Wagner Group, which is now the African Corps, gave them a footprint into Burkina Faso and then, in fact, into some part of the Sahel. So, again, if you look at the justification for rejecting France and you look at what he's also doing now, there seems to be no connection. There's no difference. It's just the same thing. It's just changing a super load with another super load. So he hasn't actually answered the query or the yearnings of the people of Burkina Faso. If in fact, the concern that the people of Burkina Faso had was how this superpower, France, has been lording it over them. But you have only just replaced them with Russia, which is still the same thing. They are in charge. The Wagner Group, at the point where Wagner Group was operational, was in charge of their mining facility. So there's actually no difference. You have just changed the name of the superlord in Burkina Faso. Nothing has changed.
So let's widen the conversation and look at the sub-region itself. I want to get your thoughts about what we've seen in the sub-region as a whole. We've seen other juntas pull the same stunt, and there hasn't been much of a deterrence from other countries or from regional bodies like ECOWAS and the AU. What indications are there that we might see these military strongmen removed from office at some point?
Well, it's a tactic that they've learned well. They've learned, I mentioned earlier that it's this when it came in 2022. He also had to house another military leader, the Lieutenant Colonel Zambaria was his name. He removed him, and then he took over in September, which showed. And since then, if you follow the trend of things that have happened in Burkina Faso and even in Mali, what you will discover is that at some point they do like a general house cleaning by crying foul that some people are after me, they want to remove me from office, and the next thing you see is that they arrest a lot of people arbitrarily, and then there's no due process, they are sent to prison. All of them try to is just to remain in office and then to make sure that they do not have anybody around them who can also overthrow them, just like they overthrow democratic government. You see that as a trend in most of these military juntas that we have, especially in the ECOWAS region. But unfortunately, what we have not seen is the external influence. At some point, the ECOWAS was pushing for the PSO to get involved directly with the military junta in some of these states. But you saw what they did immediately. They pulled out of the ECOWAS. And now it makes it very difficult for external forces, ECOWAS standby force, to be able to arrest the situation, if you like. But so again, it's becoming almost impossible. U.S. government have tried; they are still trying. I know that there have been conversations. We've read in some places that there have been conversations going on, but we do not see a green light yet in terms of this man just agreeing to return to democratic rule. He has pushed it to 2029, and that makes it very difficult for anybody to even influence what is going on locally in that country.
Mr. Olani, thank you very much for joining us on News Extra. Olumayowa Olani is a security expert at Clean Foundation. He joined News Extra to speak on Burkina Faso and the ongoing reforms that the military junta has taken on in the country. Everything from changing its electoral laws, the dissolution of its electoral body, to changes as far as education and governance are concerned. You're still listening to Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. We urge you to stay tuned to your Beyond the News station. Up next is the news review right here on Now Breakfast.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.